Unheeded warnings, a tale of blind love and sudden death. I don't trust words. I don't even trust actions. But I do trust patterns. The following is a true story about misguided love and untimely death. Did he really not know? Or did he even care? Or perhaps he turned a blind eye? I think he was blinded by his love. In the end, it was this love that killed him. But I'm getting ahead of myself. There once was a boy named Steve. He was beloved by all who knew him, even his enemies. He managed a small-town pizza joint, and life was good. But then one day in October, Sarah came to town. It didn't take long for her to catch his eye. By Halloween, they were an item, the talk of the town. Thanksgiving and Christmas were a blur of I love yous and other cliche, reckless proclamations. And then came the new year. And oh, what a terrible year it would turn out to be. Not because they suddenly grew apart, but because they gradually, inevitably, became inseparable. Or so it seemed. They went to concerts together, traveled together, and all the while worked together. She was on the surface his perfect match. No one, especially Steve, batted an eye whenever her moodiness became an issue. Depression, she called it. Certainly not her fault. It also wasn't her fault that she was the kind of woman who didn't get along with other women. No, she was one of those girls who was better suited to opposite-sex friendships. For in her words, she always seemed to get along with guys better than girls. And boy, did she have a lot of guy friends. But hey, they were just friends, right? By the time Steve and Sarah's one-year anniversary rolled around, she had become quite chummy with another young man who had just started at the pizza place a month earlier. Of course, he was just a friend, so good old Steve had nothing to worry about. Or so he thought. It turns out, at the same time she started screwing this new guy, she was simultaneously pressing Steve to get married. All of her other friends, i.e. her frenemies, were doing it, so why shouldn't she? Against his better judgment, he relented, and by April, he'd bought her a modest yet nice ring. And then the bottom dropped out. Within a week of having the ring that she had pushed for slipped on her finger, Sarah not only dumped Steve, but she moved in with this new guy. Harsh words were said, social media posts were blown up way out of proportion, and subsequently, certain bridges were apparently burned. By August, the new couple had moved to his parents' hometown 1,500 miles away, and good old Steve was left alone, bewildered, heartbroken, and wondering what he should do now that the love of his life had absconded with his heart, and not to mention his ring. But I have to hand it to my late friend. He did the best that he could to pick up the pieces and get on with his life. He would have succeeded too if it hadn't been for the holidays. That's when she came back to town to visit her folks and to reestablish old ties and to announce to the world that she was pregnant. Upon hearing the happy news, Steve was stoic on the outside, but inside he was suffering. For Sarah, this wasn't enough. She sought him out, went to his house alone, and according to all accounts, attempted to save their friendship. In other words, she screwed him, one last time, for old time's sake. After all, they were now just friends. And Sarah had a lot of friends. A lot of fucking friends. This was way too much for Steve to handle. Just 2 days later, he was found by his mother, dead from a massive drug overdose. My friend Steve was only 26 years old. Gentlemen, we as men are up against a wall of lies, deception, and betrayal when it comes to today's woman. Never before in the history of mankind has so much been expected of us, with so little offered in return. I tried to help my friend Steve as all of this was happening, but he was just not reachable. It's not so much that he didn't want to learn from my advice as it was that he didn't think he needed it. That is why it is so important for you and I to keep seeking knowledge, no matter how smart we may or may not be. My one and only passion is to help other men who, like me and Steve, and you, have suffered at the hands of the women they loved. Even if you don't believe a word I say, keep searching for answers. I am not